Many educators are experimenting with the flipped classroom model. Why is everyone talking about it? So, what is it? Well, the flipped classroom inverts traditional teaching methods, delivering instruction online outside of the class and moving homework into the classroom. Flipping the classroom has become something of a buzzword in the last several years. In essence, flipping the classroom means that students gain first exposure to new material outside of the class, usually via reading or lecture videos, and then use class time to do the harder work of assimilating that knowledge, perhaps through problem solving, discussion, or debates. In terms of Bloom's revised taxonomy, this means that students are doing the lower level of cognitive work, which is gaining knowledge and comprehension outside of the class, and focusing on the higher forms of the cognitive work, application, analysis, synthesis, and or evaluation in class, where they have the support of their peers and instructor. This model contrasts from the traditional model in which first exposure occurs via lecture in class with students assimilating knowledge through homework, thus the term flipped classroom. The flipped classroom approach has been used for years in some disciplines, notably within the humanities. Educational technology and activity learning are two components of the flipped classroom model. They both influence student learning environments in fundamental ways. So, what's the drive? Two key factors are driving increased adoption of the flipped classroom model. Number one, poor learning outcomes. The traditional one size fits all model of education often results in limited concept engagement and severe consequences, one of which is high school dropout. Only 69% of students who start high school finish 4 years later. And number two, the prevalence of online video. The availability of online video is increasing student access to technology and has paved the way for flipped classroom models. Many schools and classrooms have adopted the flipped classroom model. Let's look at Clintondale High School near Detroit, which has employed the flipped classroom model to great success. The teachers created 3 videos a week, and the students watched the 5 to 7 minute videos at home or in school if they didn't have internet access. Class time was spent during labs and interactive activities to illustrate the concepts. The students received instant feedback. The teachers have more time to help students explain the difficult concepts. The students didn't get frustrated. Before, many students wouldn't complete homework if they got frustrated with it. Working on problems in class minimizes this problem. And then teachers revisit concepts with students who don't understand. After students watch the lessons, they write down any questions they have. The teachers review those questions with the students individually. The teachers support students in class. Students who might not have technology or parents to help them outside of the school now have the teachers guiding them in class. Before the flipped classroom, more than 50% of the freshmen failed English and 44% of the freshmen failed math. There were 736 discipline cases in one semester. And after the flip, only 19% of freshmen fail English and 13% of freshmen fail math. And there were only 249 discipline cases in that semester. Most of the blog reflections I have read and the conversations that I have followed point to the way that the flipped classroom has truly individualized learning for students. Teachers describe how students can now move at their own pace, how they can review what they need when they need to, and how teachers are then freed up to work one-on-one with students on the content that they most need support with. They also point to the ability for students to catch up on missed lessons easily through the use of video and online course tools like Moodle. When I first started learning about the flipped classroom model, the immediate reaction of some educators were, "This won't work with my students." This continues to be an argument made by a lot of rural and urban teachers. They say students don't have the access required for the model to really work. They have said that some barriers are a lack of access to computers at school and at home. Some schools have very few computers for students to use. Another tough sell for educators is the fact that if everyone starts flipping their classrooms, students will end up sitting in front of a screen for hours every night. as they watch the required videos. And many teachers can tell you not everyone learns best through a screen. So, in the end, why should we care so much about the flipped classroom model? The primary reason is because it forces educators to reflect on their practice and to rethink how they reach their kids. It is inspiring teachers to change the way they've always done things, and it is motivating them to bring technology into the classroom through the use of video and virtual classrooms. As long as learning remains the focus, and as long as educators are constantly reflecting and asking themselves if what they are doing is truly something different or just a way of doing the same thing they've always done, there is hope that learning and academic success will permeate the schools. We just need to remember that flipping is only the beginning.